So today's talk is going to be about developing the strong mind, which is out of this book from Master Okawa called The Strong Mind. This is actually chapter 5 out of this book. And all of Master Okawa's teachings are really about trying to help us understand the meaning and the purpose of our lives in a way that we can live lives that are really happy but also meaningful, and that are based on the real truth about why we are born. Where do we come from? What is the truth about our lives? What is the purpose of our lives? And it's not really the sort of thing that's taught a lot in schools or anywhere else. It's really supposed to be taught in religion. It's the purpose of religion is to teach people what's the meaning and the purpose of your life. Where do we come from? Where do we go? How can we make the most of our lives? And it's not easy to live a life where we are generating happiness for ourselves and not creating problems for others. So it's a real challenge to be able to live our lives that bring happiness to others and happiness to ourselves, both at the same time. So this is really, the strong mind is about how to really develop our own mind in a way that brings us the best benefit and keeps us stable under any sort of circumstances, while we're also aiming to be people who can contribute to the world. So I'd like to start with a very short excerpt from the very beginning of the lecture that Master gave, that is this chapter 5. Because even though, we say over 3,200 books, a lot of the time when Master wrote books, he did it by giving a lecture that was intended to become a chapter in a book. In the early days, he used to just write books and give lectures, but then he found that he didn't have enough time. So instead of choosing one or the other, he decided to look for the third way and thought, what if I create lectures that can become books? So he would specifically plan 5 lectures and know those 5 lectures will become a book. So when you see this delivered, this is only about 2 or 3 minutes, this excerpt is the very beginning of his lecture. Just remember, he never had any notes. He just spoke usually for about an hour or an hour and a half, and it was always so clear and so eloquent, and then later they took those words exactly and it became a chapter in a book. And I've always been amazed at the clarity and the conciseness and the structure of his words to be able to do it just by speaking. So let's watch the first one here, which is the very beginning of this lecture that he gave on called The Power of the Strong Mind.
今日のテーマはストロングマインドということですけれども、英語を使ってみましたが、訳してみれば、強い心とでもいうか、少し難しめに言えば、強靭な精神力というべきことかもしれませんけれどもね。神秘の法という本を出しましたけれども、あれを見てみると随分変わったことを述べていると思います。少なくとも内容を学校で教えることはできないし、話題にすることは難しいし、会社でその話題をみんなの中で広めるのも難しいだろうと思います。しかしあえて死後の生命だとかですね、憑依の原理だとか霊界通信の原理だとかですね、パワーとしてのオカルティズムとか、そういうあまり見出し的にボンと言われるとですね、腰が引けるというか逃げたくなるようなテーマをずらっと並べてみました。ある意味で何と言いますかね、この世の常識に対する開き直りといえば開き直りなんですけれども、自信といえば自信というべきものがそこにはあると思います。なぜそういうことを堂々と本にできるかということですけれども、それは一つには私自身が真理の探求者として己に忠実に生きてきたということです。真理の探求ということに関しては少なくとも自分を偽らなかったですから、自分自身をごまかしたり偽ったりしたことはないので、 これについては一切の妥協をしていないし、またその真理と自分が確信している真理というものをですね、人に伝え世に伝えるにあたって恥ずべきものはないという気持ちを持っているということです。自分に対して正直であったように他の人に対しても正直でありたいと思っています。真理の探求において一筋であったように、真理の普及においても一筋でありたいと思っています。人の気を引くために、あるいは関心を得るために迎合し、真実をねじ曲げ、耳障りや目障りのいい言葉を並べ、そして人気を博そうというような気持ちになる私にはさらさらありません。ただ真理と確信したものを述べるのみで、それが他の人はそれを受け取るか拒否するかどう評価するかということに関しては全く気にもしていないといえばその通りであります。ただ自分は正直でありたい、真理に対して正直でありたい、謙虚でありたい、そして自分がそうであるようにその正直なる真実なる心を持って接すれば。
So in this lecture here, Master Okawa was actually, it was January 26, 2005, and he's 42 years old at the time that he gave this lecture. And turn that up to there. So when he was saying that he just wanted to explain the truth that he knew to be true, you could say, well, how can he know it's true? How does he speak of this being the truth? So on March 23rd, 1981, Master Okawa had a religious awakening where he started to receive revelations from the spirit world, what he calls the real world. And he was only 24 years old, but he thought, I'm too young to start explaining these discoveries that I have. So he spent 6 years while he continued working in the world of an international trading company. Actually, some of that time he was working in the Twin Towers in America with a huge multi-billion-dollar company, and he did extremely well in his job to the extent that just before his 30th birthday, when he actually left the company, so for 6 years he worked before he actually left and started Happy Science, but at the time he left they were actually preparing him to be the youngest ever head of the company. So he was very, very good at his job, but during daytime he's doing that, but by nighttime he's exploring this world of the spirit or the world of the mind that he had discovered. So after he left the company, he started Happy Science. So he was 30 years old at that stage, and this lecture here was when he was 42 years old, this in 2005. So that's why he says, when he said that he just wanted to stay true to the discoveries, to the truth that he was discovering, and explain exactly what he was discovering, what he knew to be true, and no matter what people thought, he didn't change his mind or didn't try to put it a certain way so people could accept it or not accept it. He just wanted to put it straight out there as he was experiencing it. So that's something he mentioned here was, he said, a strong mind is the inner strength or mental toughness that will help us overcome the difficult challenges we face throughout the course of our lives. One of the key things to be able to have that strong mind is to really believe that what we are doing and the way we are thinking and the way we're living our life is right. You know, if we believe that our mind is right, when I say right, not just I'm right and you're wrong, not that type of right, but right in the mind of God, or right in the mind of Buddha, or right in the mind of Allah, however you want to look at it, but right from the highest perspective. If we really believe that what I'm doing is right, it's for the good of other people, it's not just for myself, so then we can have that inner strength. But if we don't have our mind, if we're not living our lives in a way that we can feel this really good way, it's very hard to maintain that strong mind. He also said, my stance is simple. I only say what I firmly believe to be true, so my confidence in the truth does not waver. No matter whether others accept it or deny what I say or how they evaluate it, I simply want to remain sincere and humble to the truths. Now, I found Happy Science in 1994, and in that time, I've seen a lot of changes in Happy Science. In the early days, it was very much a Buddhist type teaching, but then Master started teaching about faith. And then other things came into it, like talking about beings from other planets. And during that time I saw some people could accept certain things, but when something came along that wasn't in their line of their belief, suddenly they could lose their faith because, how can you believe in space people? Or, how can you talk about faith and God? We just want to learn about the Buddhist teachings. But that's where Master said, he just wanted to teach the truth. And that's why of his 3,200 books that we have published, there's so many aspects and different angles of the truth from everything that he was teaching. So it's not very narrow, it's very wide, but we have to have an open mind to be able to accept everything. So one of the things he mentioned here was that what people today believe to be true is built upon the experiences and practical knowledge that they have accumulated over the years. But I'd like to let them know that it is arrogant to think that this common knowledge is everything. So if we think about it, where do our ideas come from? The things that we currently believe, where does these ideas come from? And it's really, if we think about it, it comes from when we are very young. The people, the families we're born into, our parents have got certain ideas. If we are born into a Catholic family, we'll tend to be a Catholic. If we're born into a Muslim family, I tend to be a Muslim. If I'm born into a Buddhist family, I might be a Buddhist. If I'm born into an atheist family, maybe I don't believe in God. So our ideas that we have actually been given to us. They weren't not something that we had. Somebody actually gave us these ideas. And so it really is a matter of, in some ways and sometimes, emptying our cup a little bit and being willing to actually accept that something I believe now may not be the complete truth. There may be more to it. And being willing to actually accept other ideas. If we don't, then it's really hard to actually move forward and change. I mean, in today's world, it's very hard, for instance, to spread a teaching like Happy Science, which is regarded and is really a religion, into schools. I know somebody who's here, and a couple of weeks ago came and saw a movie, Dragonheart, and at the very end of the movie, he said, this should be shown to all the schools. But actually showing this movie, which is such a wonderful movie for young people to be able to see, it's very hard for us to show it to schools, because as soon as they say, it's a religion, sorry, we don't show anything religious, because some parents might be atheists and they don't want their children indoctrinated with something religious, or someone might be from a different type of faith and they don't want another type of faith coming into their school. So it's very hard. So there is an arrogance in this contemporary world of where people are set in that this is the way it is. And actually this has been forever. It's a tendency of humankind. If we think of the time of Jesus being on earth, it's not like the Jewish people could accept Jesus as the Saviour, even though he said he was the Saviour. Socrates was a great man, and Socrates wasn't accepted because, his ideas were different as well. So it's always very, very hard for a new teacher and with new teachings to spread around the world. But the world needs a new teaching. I think we can all agree that right now our world needs something to be able to get our humankind in the right direction towards happiness for everybody, and create a harmony between countries and towards people in the world. And I truly believe that this teaching in Happy Science is the one that will do that. So Master said, one of the things about life's challenges is that the challenges in our life actually polish our souls. One of the teachings in Happy Science is that, we have a soul, and that the soul lives in eternity, and the soul was created a long time ago by God. But by coming to this world and living our lives the way we live them, the challenges that we come into are actually opportunities for us to learn something and polish our soul. And you see the picture here at the back here is like a diamond. It's a beautiful diamond. Well, that diamond didn't start off that way. That diamond wasn't looking like that in nature. That diamond's been cut and polished to give it the beautiful facets and make it shine like that. So it's almost like our lives are like this as well, is that we need to shape and form our characters to make them shine. They don't naturally just shine as they are without us making some sort of effort. So Master said, how can we cultivate this strong mind? Because this polishing our souls is creating this strong mind. So how can we do this? Well, he said, we really can only do it through persistent and continuous self-discipline. I think that is something that's actually lacking a lot in the world today, is the self-discipline. People tend to want an easy life. A lot of people don't really want to make effort at school, don't want to make effort in their life, just want everything to be easy. I think there's been a lot of wealth created in the world, so there's a lot of wealthy parents that when the kids are coming up, they can get everything, the latest iPhone and the latest this and that, and their friends get it, so they expect they should be able to get it as well. And nobody really wants to make the effort to get it. So there tends to be a mindset now in the world of wanting things easily. It's the same with, and if it's not the parents, they want the government to provide it for them. They want everything easy from the government. And this is, it might sound great, it might sound wonderful to get things easy, but in that there's no self-discipline, there's no efforts being made. Yeah, and Master said that contrary to common belief, this inner strength is not an innate ability. So it's not something we're born with, it's something that we need to develop over time. And that's really, we're going to go through soon here, but Master talks about some stages in our life where we actually develop our character over different phases in our life. And the first stage does include self-discipline. Master said, we acquire willpower or mental fortitude through the process of overcoming life's various trials and hardships. Now, I don't think Australia got quite caught up in it as much as what I'm seeing in America, but certainly in America, there was a time there where people were being so afraid to be able to say anything because it might offend somebody. You had to be careful what you said because you might offend somebody. So, it started to have to call them or they, and you couldn't say he or her because someone might get offended. And so it was getting a little bit out of hand, and I did see something that made me laugh. I'm not a big fan of South Park. I don't know if other people watch South Park. It's a cartoon series. They tend to make fun of people. And I saw this on South Park, and I wanted to include it. It's only a couple of minutes long. I want to show this, but this is something that was really happening with it shows the sort of mindset that was being created, which is the opposite of what Master's saying here. He says, we acquire willpower or mental fortitude through the process of overcoming life's various trials and hardships. So if we're trying to avoid these things, there's a problem. So I just want to play very quickly, it's only a couple of minutes long, this little clip that I saw from South Park.
Everyone likes me and thinks I'm great in my safe space.
My safe space.
People don't judge me and haters don't hate in my safe space.
Your safe space.
Bully-proof windows, troll-safe doors, nothing but kindness in here.
You might call me a pussy, but I won't hear you in my safe space. My safe space.
Bully-proof windows.
If you do not like me, you are not allowed in my safe space.
My safe space. Look and you will see there's a very select crowd in your safe space.
My safe space. People that support me, mixed in with more people that support me and say nice things. Rainbows all around me. There is no shame in my safe space.
My safe space.
Bulletproof windows.
I am going to tear down your safe space. Brick by brick, I shall smash it with glee.
What? Who is that?
You cannot stop me from getting inside. I am cold and I am hard, and my name is Reality.
Oh no, not Reality. Somebody stop him.
I'll take care of him, Jenny.
You can't ruin our lives, Reality.
Our safe space will keep you out.
Dropped, we can face almost anything.
But Reality, we can do it out. Bulletproof windows.
Troll safe doors. My safe space.
How's nice?
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of humour sometimes. So this is all about safe space. So they were creating safe space in schools in America because, students, if they felt somebody could say something mean to them, they didn't want that, so they wanted to have a safe space. But this way of attitude and this way of thinking does not lead us to the right direction. It just leads us to be people who only can accept everybody who says nice things. One of the things Master Okawa taught that I thought was really great about this topic was that actually if somebody says some sort of criticism to me, I should listen to what they say, and I should reflect on it, and I should think, oh, is it true? And if it's true, I should say, oh, thank you very much for pointing out something about myself that I hadn't recognized, that I might have spent all my life and not actually been noticed that was about myself. I can now change myself, I can improve myself. Thank you very much. And we can say thank you to them. But if we reflect and we find that, oh, it's not true, maybe there's a misunderstanding, then it should be like water off a duck's back. We shouldn't allow it to affect our heart. If we can honestly reflect and say, actually, what they've said isn't true, that they've made a mistake, then that shouldn't affect us. So either way, it's a positive. It either doesn't affect us, and we can maybe try to correct things with them or explain something to them that they may have misunderstood. But secondly, if they've told us something that's true, they've been a mirror for ourselves to help us develop. And since our whole life is about training and developing ourselves to improve our character, we've been really grateful that someone's had the courage to tell us something about ourselves. Yeah, so this is, Master said here, he said, we are each met with the types of issues, situations and circumstances that are appropriate for our spiritual training, and it is through overcoming them, however difficult they may be, that we can shine our souls and develop virtue. Now this is really what we're aiming to do, is to really shine our souls and develop virtue. So the difficulties themselves we can see as a gift. Talking about safe space, I was just thinking, maybe when we go back to the heavenly world, one of the teachings Master teaches is that in the other world we go to, it's a place where like attracts like. So we are with similar-minded people. So it's going to be a safe space, of course, when we get back to heaven, because there'll be kind people and loving people and good people and people who we see eye to eye with. So, of course, that may be a safe space. But this world's designed to be a place with confrontation and difficulties. It's like lifting the weights at the gym. If a person goes to the gym and they just pick up the bar without any weights on it, it's easy, but there's no gain for them. But if they put heavy weights on it and they try to lift it, those heavy weights are what build up their body. So, the difficulties and the challenges are what give us the strength. Yeah, he said, asking for an easy life with no challenges is equivalent to refusing the chance to develop virtue. Yeah, so it really is important to have this attitude, and especially instill it in young people. Because, I know with older people they may have had that. I think when life was difficult, maybe in 50 years, 100 years, 200 years ago, people naturally had these difficulties and they did build up strength of character. But when life's become so easy, we're losing the strength of character that people have. And one of the things here, Master said here, is cherish and respect your divine nature and have strong faith in your true nature as a child of God. Now there's three aspects to this strong mind. And the first one is this faith that your true nature is a child of God. There is, through the belief that I have divine nature, or I have a Buddha nature, or I'm a child of God, or I'm a child of Buddha, whatever way we want to put it, through believing this, that my true self is actually connected to God. My true self is this beautiful, infinite being that's made of light and love from God, and that's here undergoing soul training. With that deep belief, that's really the starting point of the strong mind. Because without that, what am I? Without that belief that I'm a spiritual being that's made of light and love from God and I live in eternity, what am I? Without it, I'm a physical body. I'm just a piece of flesh. I'm a piece of flesh that's wanting lots of things and wanting food and wanting all sorts of things for survival, living in the life of instinct like an animal that's going to die one day. That's it. How is there any really great sense of happiness? I can never create a deep sense of happiness in believing that that is me. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to die when I'm 80, 90 years old and it's all over and everything's wasted. So really, how can I ever feel that life has any meaning? So it really is the starting point is a strong belief that I really am a child of God or a child of Buddha, that I'm a spiritual being. I'm made of light and love, and my life in this world has purpose and a meaning. I'm here to learn something. That's really the starting point. And through that, he said, we can actually develop what's called an unshakable mind. He wrote a book called The Unshakable Mind, and he built a beautiful picture in there of an iceberg. He said, imagine when you discover the unshakable mind, you build the iceberg. So when we look at an iceberg, only 10% of the iceberg is above the surface. The part that we can see is 10%. The other 90% is under the water. What keeps an iceberg stable is the part that's under the water. No matter how big the seas are, no matter how the weather is, the iceberg stays stable because of that part that's under the water. The part that's under the water relates to the part of ourself that we know is the child of God, is the spiritual self that I know I really am. People can't see it. They see my physical body. But when I really believe deeply that I am a spiritual being, training myself in this world, aiming to become closer to God, trying to understand the mind of God, trying to bring that part of myself out, the more I can feel like that and live that way, the more I'm like the iceberg. Because, as I said, if somebody criticizes me, instead of being shaken by what they've said and feeling upset and creating an argument, creating a problem, instead of that, I reflect on what they say and think, is that true or not? Oh, if it's true, I don't want to be like that. I want to change myself. But if it's not true, then I want to explain to them, oh, maybe there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't think I was like that. And we can talk to them about it and solve the problem. So this is the first part, creating this unshakable mind by knowing the truth about who we really are, believing that we are a spiritual being or a child of God. So the second part of this creating the strong mind is developing an aspiring spirit and an unwavering heart. So first part, an aspiring spirit. An aspiring spirit means that we actually aspire to do something. We don't want to live a lazy life. We don't just want to go through life like a leaf that's being blown around by whatever's happening. We actually want to set goals in our life. We want to set challenges in our life. So we want to aspire to do something great. He said an aspiring spirit is proof of our divine nature. The fact that we can have a high goal and want to go towards it is proof that we have this Buddha nature or divine nature. Because dogs don't have this. I mean, dogs, okay, they want to be obedient, or cats want to be lazy and want to, I saw a wonderful, this is completely off subject, but a wonderful bumper sticker that said, dogs have owners, cats have staff, and it's so true, but it shows the nature of cats and dogs. But animals don't have this aspiring nature. They just want to live on instinct. They do everything they can to survive. But human beings are different. Each one of us, if you think about it, if you're learning to play the piano, don't you just want to be as good a piano player as you can be? I remember when I started playing golf, I thought, oh, wow, it'd be great to be able to be a professional golf player. That'd be so great. No matter what we're doing as a human, we actually have a tendency to really want to be good at it. If you're a painter, you want to be a really good painter. No matter what we're doing, we want to be better. We want to be better. No matter how good we get, we just want to be better. So this is proof of our divine nature. We all have this. And he said your divine nature is your potential for becoming like God. Because the fact that we actually have this strong desire to always be better and always be better, that means we always have this desire to become closer to God. So that's our proof of our divine nature, and it's our potential to become like God. And he said you should cherish and treasure your aspiration to improve yourself. It's a sign that you have divine nature within. So there's two aspects. When we do have this aspiration, there's two times in our life when we can lose this. And one of them is desperation, and the other one is complacency. So sometimes in life, when we are trying to do our best and things aren't going well, if we look and when we've lost our aspiration, what we usually find is first is despair. And despair is like no longer believing in yourself and feeling desperate, as if you're no good at anything you do, no matter how you try. So sometimes when we've had some failure in life, we've all had failure, things haven't gone well, and we can start to feel despair, and we start to feel like, oh, what's the point? What's the point in even trying? Nothing's working. And we get down, actually. And then the second one Master mentioned was complacent. So sometimes complacency means like settling for an easy success. So we set our goals low, and then we just feel happy with just achieving little things without actually ever setting a high goal and aiming for it. Some people never want to set a high goal because in case I don't get it, better set a low goal, and then I know at least I can achieve it. So he said these two things are really what can hold back our aspirations, the despair and the complacency. But I like what he said about that, about how to overcome that. He said, first of all, have faith in yourself and patiently wait until you've restored your energy. So instead of beating yourself up and trying to think, no, I'm going to overcome this, and trying to turn your mind around, sometimes he said you just have to accept that this is where we are in our life. Our life has biorhythms. Sometimes things are running hot, sometimes they're not going so hot. It's a bit like driving a car. Sometimes you're going up a hill, sometimes you're going down a hill. So at the times you really feel that things aren't going well and you've lost your drive, sometimes we actually just have to sit back and recoup our energy. But he said also at that time, believe strongly that you're a child of God and that you have divine nature in you. So never forget that. So by that belief, we can believe that, okay, things aren't going well, but I'm a child of God, I'm being guided, I'm being helped. Right now, I'm just going to recoup my strength. Actually, I remember one of the wonderful teachings Master gave about this was he spoke about bamboo. If you look at bamboo grows extremely fast. It's incredibly strong and extremely fast growing. But what makes bamboo strong is that periodically it stops growing so fast and it builds a knot. And it's actually the knot that makes the bamboo so strong. But while building that knot, it can be painful for the bamboo because it loves to grow, it wants to grow. But it stops growing for a while and actually spends time building that knot and then shoots and starts growing again. And then it builds a knot and then it grows again. So at the times in our life when we're feeling that things aren't going well and they're not getting how the way we want them to go, this is a good time to slow down and actually spend some time maybe reflecting on ourselves and just take some time out for ourselves and doing things really to more build that knot. Just spend some time being grateful for the people around us, grateful for what we have. We might not being able to achieve the things we want in our life, but instead we can look around ourselves and just consolidate our life for where we're at right now and then start to grow again. Yeah, so I thought that was a wonderful explanation he gave about sometimes we have to look at the life of a bamboo. Now he said, in addition to an unshakable mind and inspiring spirit, another essential mindset we should cultivate is an unwavering heart or calm mind. So one, we're talking about the unshakable mind, which is the absolute belief that I'm a child of God and that I am born here with a purpose. And the second part that we have is an aspiring spirit. So I actually want to do things. I want to set goals in my life. John, you're very good at this sort of thing. You set, this is what I want to do, and every day you make an effort to head in that direction. But on top of that, the third thing you said was a calm mind. So a mind that we can actually just be quiet sometimes. We can actually sit in silence. So I know as once Master explained about, like, if we look at a lake with a lot of wind blowing over it and the waves are big, this is like a mind that people are living daily where they've got so many things going on and so many thoughts going on, and they've got the emails and they've got all the issues at work and different things, and our minds are very busy. But this unwavering heart is when we actually take some time just to sit down and take some deep breaths and just let all those thoughts go away and experience the feeling of silence and calmness. And in that silence and calmness, there's a wonderful sense of happiness. To me, there's nothing compares to the sense of happiness when you find your mind goes absolutely quiet and you're sitting there without any thoughts, and it's just a feeling of a great happiness wells up from inside within that silence. And if we don't make our effort in our life to experience those times, it's very hard to actually feel that happiness that comes from that. So, and the real challenge is to be able to have that mind no matter what's going on. Buddha taught that there was a right meditation Buddhism at the end of the path of meditation. And the final step of that was really a right emancipation, which is where that we can live with that mind like you experience in meditation all the time. So no matter what happens in your life, your mind doesn't suddenly spike and become this way or that way. It's always constantly set in this beautiful, calm state. And that's really a goal for us as human beings. So it's not to try and get away from life and give up our responsibilities at home and give up our work responsibilities. It's about doing those things, but maintaining the calm mind while we're doing these things. He said, in truth, we can transform our hearts just like we mould clay into any shape we like. So Master Okawa, when he came to Australia, he gave one lecture. His first lecture was, You Can Be the Person You Want to Become. That was the title of his first lecture in 2009 when he came to Australia. You can be the person you want to become. And this is one of the wonderful things about being a human being. The power of our mind, when we have an idea about what we want to be like, we can be like that. When we have that mind, when we have that idea. Yeah. So knowing this, people, instead of thinking, oh, he made me angry, she made me angry, or I'm just that way, I can't help it. No, that's not true. We are the way we are, but we can be whoever we want to be. So the first thing we have to do is have an idea about who we want to be. And then that's like setting an ideal, and then we can mould ourselves into that. So if we want to keep a calm mind and have that calm mind, the first thing is to decide, I'm going to have a calm mind. I'm going to live with a calm mind. Yeah, so he said, our hearts can take the shape of whatever image we hold in our minds. And so if you want your heart to stop swaying, all you have to do is to simply tell yourself that you want to maintain an unwavering heart. But, you can't just tell yourself that once and that's it. We reflect, we have to see, my heart I started to become anxious again. Oh, no, I don't want to be anxious. I'm going to live with a calm mind. It's our soul training. That's what part of soul training is. And while we're living in this world, there's going to be every reason in the world not to keep a calm mind. So as these different challenges and things come along, it's always being able to recognize, and that's why one of the teachings in the Happy Science is about self-reflection. It's about seeing what is going in my mind, what is going in my heart, what sort of thoughts am I got, and then actually molding that into the way we want it to be, instead of being dictated by exterior forces. Master said, always keep a calm mind by alleviating your pain in times of sadness and by controlling yourself from flying into raptures in times of joy. This is an interesting thing, because often we think about, I'm going to alleviate my heart, I've got to keep my mind calm at times of sadness or suffering and difficulties. But the thing we don't think about, what about on the flip side, when things are going well? Sometimes when things are going well, people get all out of control. They get too, what he called it, raptures in times of joy. So sometimes people become a little bit boastful, or they forget about having gratitude to other people. And they sometimes, just as the sadness can be a bit of a problem, sometimes when people become elevated, that can become a little bit of a problem too. So it's a matter of keeping that steady line no matter what, in times of sadness or in times of good joy, not allowing these things to fluctuate your mind, but always being able to keep it in this beautiful, calm state. Now, I've got a short excerpt out of one of Happy Science videos. It was called The Golden Laws. And this one was about two kids that went on a trip through time. And they were actually, by chance, they were going through different times in the past when there were great beings on the earth. They went back to Jesus' time, they went back to Buddha's time, they went back to Hermes' time. And they got a chance to see at that time the way those teachers were teaching and what they were teaching. Well, this particular one was, they got to see someone called Tian Tai Chi. So Tian Tai Chi is a very famous Chinese monk, Buddhist, who was meditating, and during his meditation he received some wonderful revelation and inspiration from Buddha. And that's very much connected to what we're learning about here, about the strong mind and controlling our mind. So this is only a couple of minutes long. Let's watch these two kids as they go and listen to Tian Tai Chi.
Chi-yi. Shakyamuni Buddha.
It's Buddha. Now I know Shakyamuni Buddha is going to give Tian Tai Chi some spiritual guidance.
Chi-yi. Today I will reveal to you the secrets of the mind and heart. Within each person's mind, there is a compass needle.
A compass needle of the mind.
This compass needle always moves around and rarely stops. If people point their needles in the direction of hell, their minds become like that of a devil. Their hearts will be entangled in hell, and before they know it, they will lead a life full of struggle and destruction. If the compass needle stops in the direction of lust, the mind will connect with the putrefaction of lust. Through that needle, ghosts and demons of lust will barge into the human mind and take it over. As a result, those who are living will be attached to the opposite sex and become a mere tool that satisfies the lust of those ghosts. But those people who always think pure thoughts and whose needles point in the realm of good in heaven are different. Families and friends in heaven always watch over them with a smile. Again, there are some who always think of helping others without conceit or pride and seek Buddha's path. The minds of these people are connected to the Bodhisattva realm in heaven, and they enjoy the peace of heaven in their hearts while they are still alive. The compass needle of the mind moves in mysterious ways. The compass needle within humans will directly lead them to heaven or hell. One thought leads to 3,000 worlds.
3,000 worlds.
Heaven and hell does not exist in another world. It exists in this world, in people's minds. True enlightenment exists in great harmony and peace. It cannot be found in a busy mind. You must calm the point of the needle in your mind. Point it to Buddha. Make it always point north towards heaven.
Point the needle toward Buddha.
That is what an unshakable mind is. It is true faith.
Yeah, I think that's such a wonderfully done depiction. And you know, here he says, keep your mind pointed towards the mind of Buddha. But as I say, happy science is a universal teaching. So a person can think, oh, keep your mind pointed toward God, or keep your mind pointed towards Allah. It doesn't matter. Keep your mind pointed towards the Supreme Being. But it's the same thing. So this idea of the compass needle moving around, you know, all of us have got this way, our thoughts can be dictated by our environment, and the challenge to keep the strong mind is always having the strength to be able to keep our mind pointed in the right way no matter what's happening in our life. Yeah, so, and then he said also, one thought leads to 3,000 worlds. So it's like the idea that there's 3,000 different ways of thinking. So 3,000 worlds means that there's whatever way we've got thinking, our mind's directed to that world. It could be a greedy world, it could be an angry world, it could be a harmonious world full of love and compassion, it could be a nurturing world. But it's amazing, 3,000 worlds, that's a lot of worlds that he could depict or understand. Yeah. So Master said in his book, he said, or in his lecture, he said, instill in yourself, I wish to always maintain peace of mind, to remain calm and undisturbed, and to diligently persist in your effort to improve yourself. So this is just the desire and the strong idea to do that. He said a stable, unwavering heart is a source of lasting happiness. And isn't that true? Think about that. If I can keep my mind always stable and peaceful and calm and pointed towards the heaven, I'm always happy. If my mind is pointed towards anger and frustration and hatred, I'm not feeling happy. I'm feeling angry. Or if my mind's connected to greed, I'm not happy. I'm feeling like discontent. I haven't got enough. I need more, I need more, I need more. I'm not happy. So that's why we're happy science. Happy science is about understanding happiness, and happiness really is about a state of mind. And the state of mind that brings the happiness is when our mind is connected to God or to Buddha or to the heavenly world. But it's the challenge of getting our mind and keeping it there, pointing it in that direction and keeping it there. That actually is why the strength comes in when our mind starts to go away, to be able to pull it back. So I just want to play this last excerpt from Master. It's funny, the excerpts that I got out of his lecture was, the first one was the very opening sentence, and this last one was his closing sentence at the end of his lecture, because he talks about some things here which is really about the development of the character, and he really specifies them out quite clearly about the development of humans between up to the age of about 30, and then from 30 to during the 30s and 40s, and then during the 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. So these three different distinct stages of life where we aim for different aspects of our character. So I'll play that, but then afterwards we'll just go through and break it down a little bit. So here we go. This is the last end of Master's lecture.
もっともっと深く宗教的真理なんかを落とし込んで理解すると、深い人格が出てくるんですよね。そんなものも必要かと思いますが、現実に見てもそういう発展段階はおそらくあるだろうと思われるということですね。これを肝に銘じてこの、若い頃10代20代の聡明細弁な性格から30代40代で来楽豪遊な性格へと変身し、40代から50代60代へと 新陳高重な性格へと変身していって大きなリーダーになろうというふうに志を立てていけば、10年20年刻みで少しずつ自分を変化させて育てていくことができるんではないかと思うんですね。長い意味でそういう20年から20年でもいいですけどもね、そういう年月をかけて自分を成長させていくということも、これはストロングマインドの偉大なる力の一つかと思うんですね。自分を鍛錬し作り上げていく。真なる自由っていうのは自分を作り上げていく自由、これが一番尊いんだと。堕落する自由や、欲しいまま流される自由じゃなくて、自分自身を作り上げていく自由が本当に嬉しい自由なんだ、幸福な自由なんだということを知っておいてほしいんですね。長い年月何十年もかけて自分を作り上げていくという、そういう喜びをもたらすものがまたこのストロングマインドなんだということね。生まれつきの意志の強さなんて信じちゃいけない。それはさまざまな環境の中で苦しみを打ち破って得られてくる力だというふうに信じた方がいい。そして絶えざる自分の成長を目指すべきですね。今日はそんな話をあなた方にお伝えしたいと思います。
So he spoke about 3 developmental stages of character growth. And the first stage of life, he said, from our childhood and school days through our young adulthood, he said, become sharp, intelligent, capable, and eloquent person by practicing self-discipline. So this is so important. You think about it. When we're younger, and we're being told by our parents, this is why it's so important for parents to guide their children in the right way about self-discipline. Oh, you have to get up to go to school. You have to go to school. You have to come home. You have to do your homework. Is your uniform out? Are your shoes cleaned? And when you take on sports, you have to. I remember doing rugby training, right? It was tough. You got to run around the field, you feel so tired, but you have to keep going. And you get home, your boots are dirty. You have to wash your boots and polish your boots. Some of these things, sometimes you don't realise actually the deep meaning of these things that we do when we're younger. But actually being made to do things when we're younger creates self-discipline in our life. And we learn to be able to, even if I don't want to do it, I have to do it. Now, unfortunately, I believe in today's world, a lot of this isn't happening. Young people don't want to do anything. They don't want to do any of this stuff. So we're lacking the first stage, which is the self-discipline. And if people aren't self-disciplined with themselves, then as they grow older, they do anything. They can get into drugs, they can get into crime because they don't have the self-discipline to say, that's not right, I'm not going to do it. So people become easy on themselves, So this is the first stage, is the self-discipline. Now he said the second stage of our life was around from the age of 30 to 40. He said become bold, dynamic, and magnanimous. I always find that a hard word to say, magnanimous. And he said magnanimity is the mindset required to become a leader. Now in Happy Science, we have a slogan here in Happy Science called Inspiring Future Leaders. Because when Master Okawa came to Australia for the second time, he said it even the first time, but he said Australia in the future will become a country that leads the world. So he can see the future of Australia is at the moment, of course, America might be leading the world, but prior to America, there's been England, there's been Egypt, there's been Greece, there's been different times during the history of the earth that different countries have led the world. They've been the strongest country. There's a time when Atlantis was leading the world. There's a time when Lemuria was leading the world, and the continent of Mu. So the light from heaven moves around at different times. Well, he's predicted that in about 300 years' time, Australia will be the centre of the world. So it makes sense too, I believe, because Australia is like now it's the seeding of Australia. All these people from all these different countries, all these different cultures coming together to create a whole new culture that can understand each other. But what he did say when he came, he said, but as the leader of the world, what ideas are you going to lead with? What's going to be the philosophy in your foundation? He said, well, that's what I'm here for, to give you teachings that you can use the foundation to make sure the country is great. And it really is about the teachings here, about understanding about who we are, spiritual beings, why we're here, developing and training our soul, and part of the mission of humankind is creating an ideal world. So if people have this idea, then we can actually make that happen. But if we don't have that idea, it doesn't happen by accident, You don't put a whole bunch of wood lying down on the ground and suddenly a house gets built, If you put the wood on the ground, it doesn't matter. The ingredients might be there to build the house, but unless there's an idea and actually the action to make it happen, it doesn't happen. But once you've got the wood there and you've got the idea, let's build a house, and you make a plan, boom, you can make a house. So yeah, having the idea is really, really fundamental to actually making things happen. So the second stage Master said about was this mindset to become a leader. And so to become a leader, we have to have the mindset, instead of being just a young person that's really trying to develop themselves and everything's about me. It is, when we're young, everything's about me. But we have to get beyond that me, and we have to become a person that actually then wants to use everything I've learned and everything I've got to help other people. So it's like a person who learns to play the guitar, and they're learning, they're studying, they're practicing and doing a lot. It's still about me, but then they reach a point they become really good at playing the guitar, but now they want to teach other people to play the guitar. And there's another deeper sense of happiness in that. Learning to play the guitar is one thing, that's wonderful, but when you become a teacher to help other people learn to play the guitar, that's a higher and greater sense of happiness. So in our life, no matter what our skills are, as we develop ourselves, by the time we become about 30 years old, we need to start thinking about, what can I use what I've learned and what I've developed myself. Now I want to use that to help other people and benefit other people. So in business, I might want to be a manager and I'm helping other people. But to do it, I have to be genuinely in my heart wanting them to help, wanting to help them, wanting them to develop. And in Happy Science, we call this love that gives. There's a love that takes, which thinks about me, but the love that gives means that my happiness comes from bringing happiness to other people, comes from helping other people. Yeah, and this is like a nurturing type of love. So this is, so in our 30s and 40s, we should aim to be this person. He said, we need to be someone with a bold, dynamic and magnanimous disposition. They'll be able to handle a crisis with a smile, take responsibility even for other people's mistakes, and always take the lead. This is not an innate trait. So it's like if you're the boss of your company, or you're the manager in a company, and you've got people working under you, when something goes wrong, you don't go and just make it all about them and make them feel bad and then go and tell everyone else, it was their fault. It's about taking the responsibility. You could say, oh, look, I'm really sorry. I obviously didn't explain it to you clearly enough. This needs to be done this way. And so you're trying to sort of let them see the problem, but in a kind and loving way, so that now they can develop. It's not about you're wrong and you made a big mistake and you're really bad. It's about actually helping them learn in a kind way. So yeah, this is the second stage. It's about being able to be a person who can actually, even when things go wrong, you can keep your calm mind and you can keep your smile and keep your positive attitude without getting caught up in the things that are happening around you. And when that happens, people respect that kind of a person. I guess we've all worked for different people at different times, and if you've ever had a boss that goes over the top and gets upset over trivial things, and I remember having a boss called Aaron Goldwater, who was selling Apple computers, and he came in as the new sales manager and he hadn't been there for very long and things weren't going well. And I remember sitting down in front of him in his desk one day and he's like, I want things done my way and I will have things done my way, and screaming at everyone like this, and everyone ended up leaving. No one wanted to work for such a person. So on the other hand, we've all worked for really good bosses too, and it's so different when you've got the boss who really, they see a common goal. The common goal is the success of the business and success of all the people in the business, and how can we make it happen? And so This is the second stage of life. And then he said about the third stage of life, he said become a calm, profound and dignified. So he said the next step is to develop a quiet and profound character by deepening thoughts and pursuing insights in solitude. This is the path we need to acquire wisdom. So in this state, by the time people are like 50, 60, 70, they want to have such a deep sense of wisdom that they can always keep that calm mind. They can see things from the bigger picture. And that's why I believe, without the spiritual perspective, it's very hard to have that. But if we can see that everybody has divine nature, everyone has Buddha nature, and everyone's really just a soul trying to develop themselves, and I'm just here to try to help them in their way. Everyone wants to be successful. How can I do that? And to be able to keep my mind calm and keep that high perspective, then we get profound wisdom. But Master did say, to get wisdom, we need to have silence. So we do need to spend time just with our mind and with ourselves and with our thoughts, and develop a strong, wise way of thinking. It doesn't come from just reading books. Of course, when we're younger, we need to read a lot of stuff. And in our second stage, we need to really understand other people and be able to be, like he said, magnanimous. But by this third stage, we need to have actually turned our intelligence into a wisdom so that we can see the big picture. And even if a person makes a terrible mistake, we can see their divine nature. We can still love them. We can love them no matter what. Yeah. So he said, as long as we take our aspirations to heart and persevere in our efforts to become great leaders, we can gradually transform ourselves and cultivate our inner qualities at each stage of our lives. So, as I said though, this is wonderful to know this, but if we don't actually have that plan and see that, oh, this is what I want to do, I want to develop myself in this direction, and we just live our life, without this thought, it's really hard to head in that direction. I remember once Master was talking about, if we live without having any set goals or any set direction, it's like calling a cab up, and the taxi, or nowadays people use an Uber, and they arrive, and you just jump in the back seat, and the taxi driver says, "Where do you want to go?" And you say, "Just drive." Just drive. So you've got no goal, no intention, you've got no plan about where you're going. So you'll end up anywhere. You could end up in the worst part of town. You might be lucky and end up in the best part of town, but you've got no idea where you're going to end up. So we need to, in our mind, have a goal about where we're going to go. And through these teachings of the strong mind, we can know that, okay, I need to create a mind that's sharp and intelligent through my studies. Then I need to develop a mind that actually thinks about other people and wants to help other people and want to use what I've got, my skills I've got, to be able to benefit other people. And then I need to reach a stage where I've got the wisdom that actually can really oversee and see the big picture and help people more, to the stage of now, for instance, what can I do to think of making Australia great? If Australia is going to be the leading country in the world, what can I do to help Australia become the country in the future that will have the people that can lead this world? So I've got a short meditation here that was created from Master Okawa's words when he went and gave a lecture in London. But it's such wise words, and it's been turned into like a contemplation, and it's about creating the future destiny of our country. And so this lasts only about 10 minutes. It's got some nice music with it. It's got some words from Master, and then after that there's a nice gap with some words to think about that and to contemplate on that. So, and he's speaking English, which is a nice thing. So this one was actually, because he was speaking in England, this was words from Master in English. So let's just check this. Oh, yes, this is the right one. Let's just get comfortable, and this lasts for about 10 or 12 minutes. So just listen to the words, think deeply about the words, and reflect.
When civilizations have a tendency to upward, there are a lot of light of angels at that date, at that area, in that country. What is the condition for producing light of angels? We must answer this question. Light of angels have some kind of characteristics of making efforts and taking responsibilities about their own deed, and don't speak ill of others, and don't mind other people's responsibilities. So we now think again about what is duty. Duty is the human condition. What is the duty of humankind, human beings? duty is to live for other people, to make happy or happier, and take responsibilities for their own living. Of course, for families and societies and countries, companies, you must make up your mind to take your responsibility. And people who can take a lot of responsibilities, wide responsibilities, heavy responsibilities, is a great man, and he is akin to light of the angel. If you want to develop and improve this country and culture and civilization of this country, you must think again about the condition of producing the light of angels. The light of angels don't think much of themselves. They are always thinking about the happiness of other people, and they feel pleased when they make other people happy. It's a little different from self-concentrated people. In Western civilization, there are delusion for over-competition to survival and to get money and to get promotion for your own sake. But the important thing is how you can make other people happier, and it's a condition of light of angel. How many angels can you produce from now on? Decide the destiny of this country. people often choose to live for their own, and then choose self first and duty second, or no duty is good for them. It's all over the EU. It's a tendency of this area. People are too much rely on their country or government and don't want to take responsibility. Self-help mind is essential. Please make up your mind to take responsibility, and you have a duty to make other people happier. Please think about that. And self second. Please keep in mind self second. And it leads to the heaven, all of you. People who live in hell are apt to think self first and other people second. But it's an animal-like instinct. If you are human, you should feel responsibility regarding your family and neighbors and country. It's difficult, but it's just how to control your mind, how to make up your mind, how to decide, how to choose your life from now on. That needs only 1 second to make up your mind. What kind of decision do you choose? It's open your future, the door to your future.
Thank you, Master Okawa. Yeah, such beautiful, straight words. Of course, this, like I said, they were spoken in London talking about the EU, but it's also very, very relevant for here in Australia and everywhere around the world. And one of the beautiful things he said in there about angels, to angels, they have the mindset that they feel happy making other people happy. And they, if we think about examples like Mother Teresa, right? Talk about the strong mind. We're talking about the strong mind today. What a strong mind she had. The strong mind, she saw these people suffering and she went through so much effort and so many difficulties and challenges, put herself into that. She could have lived an easy life, much easier life, much more relaxed life if she hadn't done that. But instead, she lived in India and worked in India, and she went to so many companies to get money to help these people So that's a real strong mind. She lived her life for others. But we can see throughout history lots of people like that. President Lincoln of America, he must have been really hated by a lot of people at the time. More people died in the Civil War in America from anywhere else. So at least half the country hated him. Enough in the end he was assassinated, but he believed so strongly in what he was doing. He wanted to get rid of slavery, and he wanted to make America in the direction he believed was the right way. And I think we look back now and say, well, he was great. Another one, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela saw that slavery was wrong and that apartheid was wrong. Not slavery, the apartheid was wrong. And so he did what he did to get rid of apartheid, spent 20 years in jail. So we can see through history. I remember Master Okawa even talking about one person with a strong mind that's also a great spirit was Edison. When Edison's, he's a great inventor, but one time his laboratory burnt down. And so instead of getting upset, I was saying before about not having a mind that sways depending on circumstances, always keeping your mind pointed in the right direction. After Edison's laboratory burnt down, he said, at least now I can start again. So he thought, I can start all over again, I can start afresh. So, he kept his mind pointed in the right direction. Yeah, so this is, having the idea and the belief that we want to be people who can contribute to making Australia a great country. And then we think about, what makes a great country? It's people who believe in each other, it's people who work together, it's people who love together, it's people who want everybody to have success and prosper. But it's about having the mindset of if young people don't believe that, if young people just think they want an easy life and it doesn't really matter and don't take responsibility, it's not possible. So that's why we need these people in the position of wisdom and leadership to be able to teach the young people about the way forward and build this aspiration, this idea. We want to make Australia a great country. Yeah, and then it starts, as we were talking about before, about the 3 stages, about teaching young people about discipline, taking responsibility for their lives and not just trying to live an easy life. As I said, there's just a couple more excerpts here, just part that I want to touch on that he said towards the end of his speech that we saw just before. He said, in the end, the ability to shape ourselves is the true freedom that we are endowed with and the most precious gift we're given. The freedom that gives us true joy and happiness is not the freedom to spoil ourselves, nor the freedom to do whatever pleases us, but the freedom to develop ourselves. These are such great words of wisdom. We think of freedom. Hey, I want freedom. So for some people, freedom means to do whatever I want all day long and spoil myself and have as much money as I want and have all the good things I want. They might feel like this is the freedom that makes them happy. But what Master teaches us, no, the freedom, the true freedom, the freedom that brings us real happiness is the freedom to develop ourselves. And that's, as human beings, that's what we're given. Because we've got free will and we've given the infinite ability to develop ourselves. I love it when Master said before, he said, in 1 second you can have a thought. You can decide to be this person in 1 second. Yeah, so the idea of, the moment you think about something and you want to be like this, you can actually change yourself in that second. Yeah, so I love this teaching here. It's not the freedom of being given an easy life and living an easy life. It's about the freedom to develop ourselves. That's where the true happiness comes from. He says, strong willpower is not an innate ability. We can only acquire it by overcoming challenges and hardships under different circumstances. We must believe in our potential to cultivate this power and aim for continuous growth as our goal in life. And that really is the point of working to develop a strong mind, teaching other people about the truth, about why they're living, teaching people about the path to develop themselves and then become a person that can help other people develop, with the goal of creating a wonderful person themselves, creating a wonderful family, creating a wonderful society, creating a wonderful country, and then contributing to the world. When a country becomes great, they shouldn't stop and think, hey, we're great, look how wonderful we are, everyone admires us, everyone wants to come to our country. We've got to keep them out because we want to keep what we've got. No, it's about developing a wonderful country, and then that country needs to help other countries develop. We want every country to be a country that everybody wants to live in. We don't want one country to be great and other countries to be weak. We want countries that everybody wants to be in. Then that overcomes all the problems of people trying to escape their country and go to other countries. So, yeah, this is what Happy Science is all about, really. It's about making sure these teachings from Master Okawa, which are full of great wisdom and light, spread around the world, so it changes the mindset of the world, people's perspective about why they're here, the purpose of their lives, where they come from, where they're going, and how to develop themselves. spread around the world to become the foundation of the new society. I must have said, his teachings, he gave these teachings to create the new golden age. It's very interesting now how many times in the world we're finding the word golden age is being used. In many countries, I heard Korea was talking about the golden age, Japan, they're talking about the golden age, President Trump's talking about the golden age. Master Okawa said from the very beginning of his teaching in 1986, he said the golden age will start in 2020. He said, I'm here to create the golden age. These teachings will spread around the world eventually and it will create a golden age. Now they start talking about the golden age, so it's really wonderful. We're headed in the right direction. It takes time, but it takes effort. But if we have that idea and that goal and we make the effort, then that's the way the world will go. So, yeah, thank you all very much for coming today, hearing about developing the strong mind. And let's go and have some cup of tea, cup of coffee, drink of water, something, enjoy each other's company. Once again, thanks everybody. Thank you very much for coming.